very sweet old man behind me. He was very nervous when I showed up. And there's this thing when I'm running, is that often like street dogs or cats or animals or whatever are startled by me. Because they're very timid and they actually try to run into the road. So I have to like stop and make sure there's no traffic before I can even like pass a dog. Crazy. But he is a very sweet old man and I love him. Hey, sun is in my eyes and I forgot my hat on my run today. So I'm not super stoked about that. I'm a little bit of a vampire when it comes to direct sunlight like this one. Like, not stoked to be in it, but it's setting. I'm gonna lose my light, so you guys are on a bit of a loud road right here, and you know, you make it happen. What was I thinking? So I was thinking about Muay Thai changing. If you guys have been watching these vlogs, my running vlogs, you might have picked up by now, I think a lot about the changing of Muay Thai. This is something I think a lot about. And I don't think that's a bad thing. I think it might come off to some people who don't follow me very closely that I'm just always comparing things to the Golden Age, which is like 40 and 30 years ago now. And it's the Golden Age, like that's the best Muay Thai ever. It's just a very, very sweet spot. But when I'm talking about the changing of Muay Thai, I'm talking about even since I've been living in Thailand, which is 11 years. It's not an incredibly long time. Like, I know that sports change all the time, and Muay Thai has changed a lot over all of its different iterations. And I think that in some of the ways that it's changed has been like interesting. It's been really interesting. Opportunities for women have changed substantially and in really, really good ways. But changing opportunities and changing the sport at the same time, again, it's this monkey's paw I'm always talking about. Like, wouldn't it have been fucking amazing if women had gotten opportunities in traditional Muay Thai instead of like, you know, they don't let women into the Vatican or something. Like, you can't be a priest in the Vatican as a woman. And so they let women in, but then it just kind of stops being the Vatican at the same time. It's kind of weird, you know? It is what it is. But I think maybe why I'm thinking of that example is because there's something I've been thinking about. I was having a conversation last night. It was not related to Muay Thai. I was analyzing a dream. And I will not subject you guys to the dream that I had. Like, I'm not one of these people who's like, I had this dream last night and like tells you all about it. But even though my dream wasn't about this, it got me talking about it, and so that's why I'm thinking about it. And I had to explain to the person I was talking to that maybe part of my fear or my anxiety about what's happening in Muay Thai and the changes that are taking place very rapidly and the influence that the West is having in Thailand, not necessarily on Thailand. I have this kind of fear of like a broken lineage, and that relates a lot to me because of what I do with the Muay Thai library and my fascination and dedication and honestly obsession with the fast disappearing techniques of Muay Thai. But so what I was talking about is Thailand has a kind of Buddhism that's called Theravada. And it's the oldest kind. It's actually, because it's the oldest kind, it's from the original Pali text. It can at times be like one of the really most conservative ones, which happens in a lot of religions. When you have this like orthodox version, it's always a little bit more conservative. And so they're a little bit restrictive here in some rules that aren't necessarily in the older text, but it's this thing with like how you read something or the caveats, and they try to stick really, really closely to the original text. So if you look at what the Buddha said and what the Buddha taught, there's absolutely nothing that keeps women from achieving enlightenment, and there's actually nothing that stops women from becoming monks, like ordained monks. And in fact, the Buddha's mother And many women from the temple actually became monks. They were monks at the same time as him. They were part of his group, which is incredible. And yet they're not allowed to be monks now. So you'll see women who are part of the temple system, Buddhist system here, and they wear all white. A lot of them shave their heads and their eyebrows. In case you don't know, if you see a monk with eyebrows, that is not a Thai monk. Like in Burma, they don't shave their eyebrows. In Thailand, they shave their eyebrows. This is one of the ways you can tell. And you're not allowed to impersonate a monk, which means that on TV, they don't shave their eyebrows, even though they're playing Thai monks. So they might cover them with like makeup or something, but you can always tell a real monk from a not real monk because of this eyebrow thing. Interesting. Okay, back to the point, is that in the ruling of how a monk is created, like when you ordain as a monk, you need to have 10 ordained monks going through this ritual and making this process. And it was the same for female monks, but they had to be from this lineage. They had to have been the originals, and like they carry it forth, and you have to have a certain number of them and male monks because of course. And somewhere along the line, that lineage was broken. So the Bikini is what female monks are called. The Bikini lost their ability to have the certain number of unbroken lineage female monks at the ordination of new novice female monks being ordained. And once that was broken, men do what they do really well. They're like, okay, never again. Like, it's broken, can't fix it, no way to fix it, and so now you can't be monks anymore. There's this really, really incredible female monk in Thailand. Her name is Venerable Ananda. And her mother was one of the first Thai female monks. And what she did was she found this little loophole. Sorry, I'm watching this dog cross the street and having like a little heart attack on myself. Her mother went to Sri Lanka and got ordained there because there they will ordain female monks. And she came back to Thailand and they didn't recognize her because it's Thailand. And then Venerable Ananda, the daughter, I think she went to like, I feel like it's Malaysia. And she actually got ordained in not Theravada Buddhism. So she's ordained in a different kind, but it's through the same process that you would use as a monk here. So again, she is an ordained monk and Thailand doesn't recognize her. This is very much like how in America, for a long time, one state would marry a same-sex couple and then other states won't recognize it. It's that kind of thing. So it was this breaking of the lineage that made it so that now there can't be any more female monks. And my fear, like my kind of anxiety about what's happening to Muay Thai and how a lot of these legends, not only from the Golden Age, but from before the Golden Age and this pedagogy that created the best Muay Thai ever, is disappearing fast. Like it is going really fast. A lot of these legends who we're putting in the Muay Thai library 10 years from now, they're not even going to be able to train people. Like they're aging out of it. Some legends have died already that we weren't even able to get to. And they don't have students that are carrying on what they knew and what they taught and kind of the same pedagogy of how they learned. Like there are no gyms that are like the Golden Age anymore. And the Golden Age fighters did not create gyms to carry on that same legacy in the same way. And that's gonna happen. Things change. But with the breaking of this lineage, I'm not seeing it quite as the same way as the Bikini, where it's like, well, now it's broken, you'll never get it back. Because what Ananda is doing is she is pulling from the future and pulling from the past and trying to kind of link these chains in a really, really beautiful way. And I think that's maybe a little bit what I think about myself doing, whether I'm actually doing that or not. I think it's a beautiful concept. But I talk a lot about Muay Thai technique and Muay Thai practice and watching Muay Thai and all this stuff as being like music and being like language. And this happens where like you lose a generation of teachers and you lose a generation of practitioners and it's gone. So a lot of times this happens with like colonialism. It's really fucking sad where you look at something, not colonialism, you look at something like the Khmer Rouge, where they were murdering, just slaughtering intellectuals. They were killing academics of any kind. They were killing masters of any kind. And so you lost an entire generation of knowledge. And if you come back and try to piece that together on the other side of that, you're kind of making stuff up to some degree. Like if you kill everyone who ever knew how to use a particular kind of like traditional instrument, and then, you know, the like granddaughter of like my grandfather had played this and like he never taught me, but I kind of know how it works. It's not the same as if you had like been taught that directly. And I think that that kind of thing is dangerous because it happens a lot. And then you have these things that are like colonialism, which Thailand prides itself on having never been occupied like its neighbors were. You know, you have the French taking over Vietnam and Laos and all these different things. Thailand is really, really proud of its own history, that it was never occupied like that. But it kind of self-westernized and self-modernized in a lot of ways in order to avoid that in some ways. And that's kind of what I think is happening with some of the changes in Muay Thai. Some of the changes in Muay Thai are just, there's nothing you can do about it. People just don't learn and train the way that they used to. And so the watering down of it has been happening for decades. But this kind of like Western influenced colonialist part of it is worrisome, because the pressures that are put on that when you kind of apply it to language and like the history of languages, if you have very, very strong pressures, you look at colonialism that comes in and forbids languages. So what happened to Native Americans in America, to indigenous peoples, what happened to Gaelic with the Irish when England came in and they forbid the language. Like, not only are you not allowed to teach it, you're not allowed to speak it. And if you lose people actually speaking the language, this is a huge deal. Like, there are people who study ancient Greek, people who read Latin, and they're like, I know this language. And yeah, you know that language, but if you're not speaking it, if nobody's speaking it, that language is dead. So you can't like really bring it back until you have like a general practice, like a true general practice of people actually using that language at the same time, you know? Like it becomes very precarious and it can actually go extinct, which is so sad. It's really scary. And Muay Thai, like the kind of Muay Thai that I think about when I'm talking about like how Muay Thai is changing so much and like all these things that are affecting it and blah, blah, blah. It's not Golden Age Muay Thai, but it has the elements of Golden Age Muay Thai that I love so much. It's still happening all over Thailand. It's happening in the provinces. So the language is being spoken, it is being preserved, it's being kind of like put forth because the pedagogy up there of like teaching your nieces and nephews and carrying it on like this, that's happening. It's happening all the time. And it's a very, very strong root system, but it needs support. Like it needs to be bolstered in a lot of ways, because for 50, 60 years, it's Bangkok Muay Thai that has been the kind of like epitome. That's been the, you graduate from your rural Muay Thai and then go into Bangkok, and that's what people see as the like great presentation. So maybe it's a little bit like, you know, real, I don't know, real gymnastics is happening all over America all the time. And then Olympic gymnastics is what the world sees as gymnastics, and they're going to say this, that, and the other thing, like, oh, this is not real, or they only care about power moves now, or I don't know what the criticisms are of gymnastics. I just know I love Simone Biles. I don't know a lot about gymnastics, so I'm using an example that I don't understand. But I do know that the Olympic version of a lot of sports are not what people see as the like real, true sport that's practiced everywhere, but that's the one that everyone sees. So like what I know about bobsledding is the Olympics versus people who actually are bobsledders and maybe have like a really rich history of it. I'm not going to ever see that. And I don't think that true bobsledding or true gymnastics or whatever the thing is has to become global. I don't think that's necessarily the goal. It just has to stay. Like it has to be bolstered so that it can be maintained. It's like investing in the arts or something. And I hear a lot of people talk about how like Muay Thai has to modernize in order for it to go global. It has to become more popular. Does it? Like it is having a hard time in Thailand, in that like it's becoming less popular than it was during the golden age. But it's not at the risk of completely disappearing. But if you're going to change it a lot, if you're going to like make the language so that it's not even spoken anymore, then it's really fucking in danger. Like then it's really, really on a brink, rather than like it's less popular kind of thing. So that's what I was thinking about. That's the kind of stuff I think about as I'm listening to my audiobooks and running home. I'm really, really enjoying this audiobook I'm listening to right now. It's called The Hail Mary Project. Sci-fi, very, very sciencey. I don't know if any of it's real because I'm not a science person, but it's written in a way that feels very real and is very exciting. I liked it so much I sent it to one of my brothers. He had given me A Confederacy of Dunces many, many years ago, which was like one of my favorite books at the time that I read it, and I'd really love to read it again. Kevin and I just rewatched Trains, Planes, and Automobiles, which I hadn't seen since I was maybe like 6, and I didn't really remember it, but I remember having seen it. And I think that John Candy would have made an absolutely incredible Ignatius, and I'm a little bit sad that never happened. So that's my complete non sequitur way to end this running vlog as I get going. This is what I'm like running next to. It's just like there's a stadium being built over this way. I don't know if you guys can see it. No. And then there's just like a bunch of this stuff will be cut down in like 8 months. I think it's like taro or something like that. It's grown everywhere. It's very spiky, and it's super, super, super common, and I'm not entirely sure how it's used or what it's for, but I see it everywhere. So that's that. All right, take it easy, guys.